Well, what many of us have been suspecting for quite a while and speculating about quite a bit over the last week, Football Manager 25 is officially dead. A development update was released just after 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the United States, 2:30 in the morning BST, from Sports Interactive on their official Twitter, and they have updated their website now. A message from Sports Interactive providing an update on Football Manager 25 that we were all hoping we were going to get a week ago, if not sooner. Now, this does coincide with a shareholder meeting for Sega Sammy Holdings. I think that's the official name of the company, which is a publicly traded company on the stock exchange, I believe in Tokyo, but I don't know. New York, I don't care. It doesn't matter. They are a publicly traded company. There was a quarterly earnings report that came out right at that time, actually just a couple of minutes before this announcement came down. And I will read it to you. Sports Interactive regret to inform that following extensive internal discussion and careful consideration with Sega, we have made the difficult decision to cancel Football Manager 25 and shift our focus to the next release. For the large numbers of you who pre-ordered FM25, we thank you enormously for your trust and support. We're very sorry to have let you down. Please see the facts below on obtaining your refund. And they have put, which was not available in the initial tweet, there is a fact. For those of you that don't want to skip ahead, if you have pre-ordered FM25, you will automatically be refunded your money. We know this will come as a huge disappointment, especially given that the release date has already moved twice, and you have been eagerly anticipating the first gameplay reveal, which, as you remember, was promised back in January of 2025. I am going to add in my little commentary here or there as we move through. We can only apologize for the time it has taken to communicate this decision. Due to stakeholder compliance, including legal and financial regulations, today was the earliest date that we could issue this statement. And I do believe that. And I do have to give Sports Interactive credit that they did not wait until after the meeting was done or days after to finally break the bad news. The meeting was at 2:30. Which is my understanding. The meeting was at 2:30 BST. The tweet came out at 2:35. So they did not wait. However, they knew coming into this that they weren't going to be able to do anything in January. I think regardless of whether they were canceling the game or moving forward, that arbitrary date that they had set for themselves of January, the end of January, let's just say January 31st, they would never be able to meet because as a publicly traded company, they owed it to the shareholders of Sega Sammy Holdings to release that information to them before releasing it to the general public. I get it. That is the legal thing they've been talking about. That is the licensing thing to a certain degree that many content creators have been talking about over the last 7 days since that arbitrary deadline of the end of January came and went. They could have and should have released some kind of statement saying, hey, we can't do anything now. We will have news for you on December the 7th. That's all they needed to do. They should have communicated sooner. I'm going to give them props for communicating now. They were prohibited from doing so before this moment, and I understand that. They really should have let us know that, though. It would have saved an entire week of rampant speculation, of which most of it was FM25 is canceled. And, well, here we are. They continue on that they have always prided themselves on delivering the best value for money games that bring you countless hours of entertainment and enjoyment that feel worth every moment and every penny you spend. I personally feel I have more than gotten my money's worth out of Football Manager 24 with all of the streaming and the various YouTube series that we have already done and will now continue to do. We have definitely gotten, me personally, bang for my buck. With the launch of FM25, we set out to create the biggest technical and visual advancement in the series for a generation, laying the building blocks for a new era. Due to a variety of challenges that we've been open about to date, but have you? You were open to them in June. You were open about them in some small interviews leading up to the original September reveal that was supposed to happen and the initial pushback. And you were open about that. You were open about it having to be pushed back to March. You were open that there was not going to be a data release, which there still won't be a data release, by the way. So we are not going to get an FM25 data update for FM24. That will not happen. They are prohibited from doing so. I don't know the legalities of all of it, but that is what they're saying. And that is what they've been saying since, I think it was late October, that they came out with that news, and they are sticking by it. But we hadn't heard from them since December the 4th, and that was that FM24 was going to still be available through the various platforms. It has been available. That's all they have said. So I'm going to call a little bullshit on we've been open about this to date. Due to a variety of challenges that we've been open about to date and many more unforeseen, we currently haven't achieved what we set out to do in enough areas of the game despite the phenomenal efforts of our team. Each decision to delay the release was made with the aim of getting the game closer to the desired level, but as they approached critical milestones at the turn of the year, it became unmistakably clear that they would not achieve the standard required, even with an adjusted timeline. Whilst, gotta love the British, whilst many areas of the game have hit their targets, the overarching player experience and interface is not where we need it to be. As extensive evaluation has demonstrated, including consumer playtesting, which they are confirming did happen, we have clear validation for the new direction of the game and are getting close. However, we're too far away from the standards you deserve. Interesting, the way that they phrased this. And from some of the leaks that we've seen on Reddit and other places, whether you want to believe them or not, the consensus from the people that did speak up and probably were violating NDAs was that the gameplay was pretty good. The interface was messy and overly complicated and not very intuitive. I find it very interesting that the only part of the game that we have seen to date, and these are also only work in progress, but the only part of the game that we've kind of seen was the interface. And that it has taken them this long to realize that the interface was not going to be workable when, since that was the only part of the game that anybody had seen even a little bit of a hint of prior to the playtesting. We're not going to talk about those that went down to SI's offices sometime in December, January, and actually got to play the game. But there was a general consensus that the interface was lacking. And at the time, and we are talking back in September, at the time, the interface was not where the community wanted it to be. So very interesting that months later, that is the reason they are citing for them not having a game ready to go. Close, they say, but too far away from the standards we deserve to release. They continue, they could have pressed on, released FM25 in its current state and fixed things down the line, but that's not the right thing to do. I do agree with that. We were also unwilling to go beyond a March release, as it would be too late in the football season to expect players to then buy another game later in the year. Again, valid, but if they don't release the game until November anyway. 6 months. I think I personally, speaking for myself, I think I would have gotten my money's worth. Through the cancellation, every effort is now focused on ensuring that our next release achieves our goal and hits the quality level we all expect. God, I hope so. You haven't gotten it done in the 4 minutes you gave yourself. In the 4 months, excuse me. Hopefully in the next 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever it is, you can finally find that level of quality you're looking for. We will update you on how we are progressing with that as soon as we are able to do so. I truly hope so. I truly hope that they are going to be more forthcoming with information now that the cancellation has come through. Just as we were hoping they would be more forthcoming with information when they originally pushed the game back. I fear that with the news that just came out that they're looking for a new head developer, they only really have the one game, so it's got to be for FM, that may not happen. And I do fear that this sentence is going to give them free rein to just be silent for as long as they feel they need to, and then come back eventually, maybe not even until it's ready for the game to come out, for all we know. I think they've left it a little too open-ended. And I would like to say, or I would have liked for them to have said, we will update you in 30 days, 60 days. Doesn't mean that they've got to release anything. They don't have to reveal anything, but just touch base. Learn from your previous mistakes. You have to have been paying attention to what has been going on throughout social media, all over YouTube, with every content creator basically offering their opinion on the news that was released before. You can't have been deaf to what has been happening over the last week. You have to know how disappointed we are, not in the fact that we aren't getting the game, although that is disappointing, but how disappointed we are that you did not have the decency to remain in touch with us and clue us in that you all were still alive until it was, frankly, way too late. They say thank you for reading, your patience, and your continued support. Our full focus now returns to creating a new era of Football Manager, signed Sports Interactive. Now, in the fact they've confirmed that all versions are canceled for FM25 and it will not be released on any platforms, that any pre-purchase orders will automatically be refunded in full if purchased through an official Sega-approved retailer. If you didn't buy it through an official Sega-approved retailer, which I'm going to guess is most of them, you should be okay. Why didn't they cancel FM25 earlier when they opted to delay to March? They say at the time of the decision, based on the data they had available, it was their strong belief that they could reach their quality target level and deliver a game that the players would be happy with despite the delay. The challenges encountered beyond that point meant that they were unable to achieve that. Not saying what they were or how far off they were. An FM25 update was promised in January. Why the delay in sharing this information? As stated above, stakeholder compliance impacted the sharing of information until now, which relates to Sega Sammy Holdings being a publicly traded company. I still contend that they should have let us know that that was the case long before they did. They reiterate there will not be an FM24 data update for the 24-25 season, and they are currently in discussions with their various platform partners and licensors to hope to extend their FM24 agreements to be able to provide FM24 on the subscription platforms for the foreseeable future. They do say they're going to provide an update on this in due course. So FM25 is canceled. By all interpretation of what they're saying here is there will be a game, or there is expected to be a game around the time that FM26 will have been released. I sincerely hope if they can get the game out earlier, I would love to see the game come out before EAFC It would stop all of us from playing that godforsaken game, but that's a topic for another time. I hope that they keep in better contact with us between now and then. I hope we don't have to wait until late November. I hope we don't have to wait until September for any inkling of news and we get that gameplay reveal that we have been promised sooner rather than later, even if the game's not coming out until November. Give us as much information about the game. Show us as much. Get the excitement up, because right now the excitement level is in the toilet and you guys have put it there. I'm speaking directly to Sports Interactive right now. As a company, I'm not talking to the developers. I'm sure you're lovely people and I know you've been working hard. But as a full company, y'all have crapped the bed and you need to do better moving forward. You need to build that trust back. And what I do sincerely hope, if this game is going to be released in calendar year 2025, even though it goes against the custom, I really do hope that the game released is called FM25. Because the number 25, that's a milestone number. And this is going to be a milestone edition of the game. Release FM25. Even if it is when you would normally release what you would have called FM26. Just keep it in mind, a little food for thought, just my opinion. Thank you all very much for watching, and watch this space for more FM24 content in the meantime.